Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a champion guide for the new Void Legendary Nekhret the Great. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so Nekhret is in the Undead Hordes and the Void Legendary down here towards the bottom left of the Legendaries and right here. So, okay, first of all, as always for my champion guides, I do have an infographic down in a pinned comment and in a video description so that you can find it nice and easily where I've got kind of the general information about the champion. But for Nekhret, I want to make sure and stress, don't blindly copy Masteries. I tried to put together kind of a general mastery build for him for the video, but just remember to always build it around the way you are going to use the champion. For example, if you are using him in the clan boss, you're going to want to go down the offense tree and probably take Giant Slayer because he has a triple hit A1. So remember to always keep that in mind when you're doing masteries. Don't just blindly copy these. These are kind of a general utility mastery build if you're not using him in the clan boss. But again, that'll be down below. I'm going to put that away and let's talk about Nekhret really quick. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is take a look at the base stats when we're going to evaluate a champion. The HP of 21.5k basically is fine. The attack is completely worthless. Do not worry about that. You're not getting any value out of attack stat. Defense is pretty good. 1354 is nice. 97 base speed. A little bit low, but it's not like 92 or something, so I can live with that. Crit rate, crit damage, don't really worry about that. We're not building him as a damage dealer. The base resist of 50 is very sturdy. I like that. The accuracy of 0 is completely fine because we don't need any accuracy on this guy. He only has one ability that places a debuff, and that debuff cannot be resisted. So you're not going to need to go for any accuracy on this guy. So as we dive into the kit here, the first thing that jumps out is 6 different things here under skills. That is very rare. We've got the 3 kit abilities, 2 passives, and an aura. So let's dive into the A1. We've got a triple hitter. I love that. Attack one enemy 3 times. Each hit with a 20% chance that you can book up to 30 of placing the big version of decreased attack for 1 turn. And then remember, this debuff cannot be resisted. So as long as that percent chance procs the effect, it's going to place. It can't be resisted. You don't need to worry about getting any accuracy on this guy, and it's his only ability that deals damage, and that damage scales with defense. Then we've got the A2 here that can be booked to a 4-turn cooldown. It can also be lowered with the A3. We'll get to that in a second, but it's going to be team up with allies to attack 1 enemy. Allies under ally protection buffs placed by this champion will join with their default ability and grants an extra turn if the attack does not kill the target. So again, an ability to cycle through if you didn't get really good value out of it. Then the A3 here is going to be place a block debuffs, 50% ally protection, and a 25% strengthen buff on an ally for 3 turns. The ally protection buff cannot be removed. So you're not going to need to worry about a buff stripper like a Madame Saris or something stripping the ally protection buff, but the block debuffs and the strengthen can be removed. Now we go into the passive. Whenever an ally is attacked while under an ally protection buff placed by this champion, so it has to be placed by Nekhret. It can't be like a miscreated monster or something that placed ally protection. It has to be placed by Nekhret to synergize with this passive. It's going to place a shield buff on the ally equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. So stacking some HP on Nekhret is going to help place a bunch of those big shields on somebody that is attacked while under an ally protection buff that he placed. I know it's a little bit hard to understand. I'm trying to kind of walk you through it here. Occurs only if this champion does not already have a shield buff placed by this champion. So you're not going to be able to just cycle through endless shields, but it's basically guaranteeing you'll get the value as long as it's not already happened. Then also decrease the cooldown of this champion's Legion of the Damned skill, which is the A2 here, where allies team up to join if they're under the ally protection, and it's going to reduce it by 2 turns if the shield buff is placed. Then we've got another passive, place a block debuffs buff and a 25% strengthen buff for 3 turns on the ally with the lowest max HP at the start of the round, so you can really control where you want that to go, especially in an arena match or something. Also places a 50% ally protection buff on them for 6 turns. When you get this up to lasting gifts, that thing gets placed for 7 turns sometimes. Pretty insane. And then again, the ally protection cannot be removed, similar to the A3 here. Then we've got an aura, increase ally resist in all battles by 60. All battles auras are great, and then anytime we can get speed, accuracy, HP, defense, that is a welcomed aura that can bring some value to the right team. And before we move on to the build and the gear and showcasing him in battle and all that, there is something I really want to drive home that is super cool. And look at this. The A1, 4 books. The A2, 1 book. The A3, 1 book. And then no books for the passive. What's that mean? 4 plus 1 plus 1, 6 legendary books to max this guy's skills. There we go. Now we're talking, Plarium. Contrast that with the new Fusion Champion, Pixneal, that takes 18 legendary books. It's literally 300% more of a book requirement. So this is the way it should be done. Somewhere like 5 to 10 legendary books. That's how it should be. So hey, kudos to that, Plarium. I love how they designed these skills and how you book them to get value out of them. 6 is more than reasonable, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. I hope they trend towards doing that more often with some of the champions that they're releasing. But now let's head on over to the Nekhret that I've got built on this account. We'll talk about the gearing, the booking, the masteries, and cover all of that. So as we get Nekhret pulled up here, I do want to take a quick moment to shout out Twisted Badger for letting me jump on his account for a few hours and test this guy, because obviously a Void Legendary is going to be very tough for me to acquire it on my main account. So I have to use other people's accounts to go ahead and test these champions and try to get some content out for you guys in terms of what I think about them. So hey, shout out to you, Twisted Badger. I appreciate you letting me do this. And then if I pull up the total stats, one thing I want to touch on is you will see debuff accuracy of 145. I was just using their gear as best I could without like tearing apart a bunch of other champions and stuff. So it just happened to be that I got some accuracy substats to go along with their great haul. So 145 accuracy, it doesn't need to be that high. I didn't mean to get accuracy on him, really. I was just trying to mix and match gear as best I could. And then I didn't go like a high resistance build because I wanted to be able to try him out in different dungeons and stuff where I wasn't really going to need that. But if you're going to be using him as an arena specialist, you are going to want to stack a lot more resistance than that. But you'll see 70,000 HP. Remember, the HP is going to help the value of his shield. And then he does scale his damage with defense, but I wouldn't really worry about it personally because it's only the A1 that does damage. He's not going to be a massive damage dealer like a Rotos or something cranking out damage, or a Septimus. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much. Speed, obviously, the more the better. Anything over 200 is going to be viable in terms of kind of like the level 20 dungeons and stuff. And then crit rate and crit damage, again, you don't really have to worry about it because he's not a damage dealer. So Banner, resistance is great if you're going to be going in the arena. Otherwise, your best blend of defense, HP, and speed should be fine. The amulet, this was the best 6-star amulet that I could find on his account that wasn't currently being used. You can really go either defense or HP with your best blend of substats like resistance and stuff to go with it. The ring, again, similar to the banner, your best blend of defense and HP is going to go in that slot. Then for boots, I really like speed boots in general, especially on this guy. I want him cycling through his abilities to get the A2 and the A3 off as much as possible. So we're going with speed with our best blend of defense and HP and resistance that we can get. Again, I would kind of lean towards stacking HP on him, even though, again, he does scale with defense, so your default mentality would be to stack defense. But again, I just think it'd be a good route to stack a lot of HP on him to get a lot more value out of those shields. That's why you'll see the HP percent on the gloves and the chest, even though he does technically scale with defense. Top ones are pretty self-explanatory. They're just basically stat sticks where you're looking for defense, speed, HP, and resistance. But there is those in case you were curious. As we dive into the skills, we did already go over the full kit. This is usually where I touch on the booking process, but honestly, all 6 of the books are pretty impactful, and he's a really good champion, so you do not have to feel bad about spending 6 books on him. If you've got this guy and you're going to invest in him, nothing wrong with spending the 6 books. I would just go hard on that. If you've got him, go ahead and spend them on him because he's a fun champion and you won't regret spending those 6 books. We covered the masteries. Remember, in the infographic, I do have that down below if you want to pull that up at any time. But yeah, again, if you're going to be using him in the clan boss, you'd want to go down offense and probably take Giant Slayer here because of the triple hit A1. There's a couple different ways you can go about this, especially with the tier 6 mastery. Really anything but Eagle Eye, you'll at least get some value out of. You could go Bulwark and use him as a tank. You could go Giant Slayer because of the triple hit A1. You could go a couple different routes here. But in terms of general utility, you can't really go wrong with the Unshakable here and scooping up some extra resistance if you want to do a build to make him super sturdy in the arena. Now let's go ahead and pull up some of the footage I recorded while I was testing him, and we'll have a conversation about him as we are watching that. So, all right, here we go. This first Fire Knight, he's going to be okay in the Fire Knight. Now, I do have this at like 200% speed just so it only takes like 5 or 6 minutes to go through this instead of like 12 minutes. So that's why it looks a little bit faster than normal. But yeah, he'll be all right in the Fire Knight. He's a Void Affinity, so he's never going to be weak. And he does have that triple hit A1, with the ability to keep someone like a Cold Heart alive by placing those big buffs like ally protection and strengthen to keep like a big damage dealer like an Allure or a Cold Heart. Allure's not a damage dealer, but Allure for like, she can be a little bit squishy, and it can be a little bit tough to keep her alive to get her to the boss to take advantage of that turn meter manipulation that she does. But Nekhret will be great for keeping a squishier target alive on your team, and that's definitely where he shines. I also love how his A1 looks. It's like those 3 glaives across the ground right there, boom. But he ended up killing, so you didn't see it. But the A1 is super cool. I like how he doesn't run up like Lord Shazar and sit there and go tsh, 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 and take 6 seconds to take a turn. I love how his A1 is just right along the ground, looks super cool. They didn't seem to use like new assets for him. He's got a unique design, and right there you got to see the abilities skirting along the ground there, and so and his skin is not a reskin or anything. So in terms of the design, how he functions in battle, how he looks, all that, definitely a home run from Plarium. They usually do a great job on the aesthetics, and Nekhret is no different. Then here's the spider. Now this one's interesting. You'll see right there, he puts the buffs on the Cold Heart, and that's going to help her keep alive. Watch this. So now we got the Venus placing the HP burns. They're targeting that Cold Heart, which is very common, and Nekhret is able to go ahead and let that Cold Heart soak up that damage so she doesn't just fall over, and then we're able to have an auto-friendly spider run that only takes about 40-something seconds here because of the Nekhret able to prioritize keeping that Cold Heart alive. She would have definitely fallen over, or we would need to bring somebody like a Miscreated Monster or a Sir Nick or a Valkyrie. Bringing a shielder is tough to find. There's not a whole lot of them that do it to synergize very well in the spider. So very cool that Nekhret has that functionality to help keep the Cold Heart alive there in that scenario. Then the Golem, again, he's going to be used here to keep someone like a Blind Seer or a Dracomorph, give them a lot more toughness in terms of the buffs that he places on them. And pretty similar story to the Fire Knight, where helping you, making it more realistic for you to bring damage dealers that are kind of glassed out and not have them just fall over constantly. You see there still, if it's not up permanently, the Blind Seer does fall over. So Duchess, obviously someone who can revive, is going to help fill in those gaps because it is a single target buff. It's not AoE, so it's more of a single target priority. Like if you have one squishy champion, if you've got 2 or 3 squishies, Nekhret's going to struggle to help them all sustain the damage coming their way, especially in level 20 dungeons and stuff. They can't be too glassed out and expect Nekhret to keep them all up. But if you've only got one glassed out type character, Nekhret will do a pretty good job of helping to make sure they're alive almost permanently. And then I believe after this, I will show you a dragon run. Just to, why not? We'll get to see right there, the abilities go right on the Cold Heart. And if she were under fire, it would be helping her sustain that damage. Love those A1s. And so I didn't really mess with Twisted Badger's teams too much. I didn't want to move too much stuff around. So I was mainly leaving the core as is, and then just swapping Nekhret in for like one different champion. So I didn't really build all these teams from scratch. I didn't want to mess with his account too much, but I wanted to show you Nekhret in a few different scenarios and how it functions, give you a chance to see his abilities live on the battlefield, see what he looks like, and see how he's doing these abilities and where they're kind of going. You can see the Cold Heart getting very prioritized in terms of who he's protecting. And then after this, I will show you a couple arena matches. I think he's going to slot pretty good into high resistance teams. Remember, he does have that aura that places the resistance on all allies in all battles. So he'll be good in high resistance teams because, again, he doesn't need any accuracy. And he does have the A1 that decreases attack. He will help you be a little bit tanky and keep some priority targets alive. Here's kind of a standard fight where you get to see Nekhret in action, and then a little bit of a tougher fight that's going to last a little bit longer. And now Twisted is lucky enough to have a Hegemon, which made things a little bit easier. But then I also wanted to show you one that lasted a little bit longer, just to see Nekhret in an arena match that wasn't over right away. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's kind of I was testing this guy for probably a couple hours, and then that was just a little bit of a cut up of some of the footage that I wanted to show you while we were having a conversation about him. So now let's go ahead and get Nekhret graded in all the different areas of the game. Campaign, he's going to be great for 3-starring content in the campaign because that's a scenario where you have to use 2 champions. You can't use 3 or 4. And remember, he prioritizes his buffs. They're a single target, so he's great in a duo scenario. So he's amazing for 3-starring content, but he's not going to be like an XP speed farmer or anything. Arena. I don't know if he's quite a 5. He's like a 4.5. I'm gonna go 4 on offense and 5 on defense. I think he's a little bit better on arena defense. Faction Wars, he'll be great. He'd never be weak because the Void, and he would slot in just fine and help the tankiness of your team and help you bring a damage dealer that you can keep alive. Fire Knight, yeah, I mean the triple hit A1 and really helping you deal with the waves and all that. Yeah, sure. I think 5 is fair. Clan Boss, I don't think he's super strong in the Clan Boss, but he does have that A1 for super consistent counterattack. It's going to be almost permanent because of that A1. That is a pretty crucial debuff to have in the Clan Boss if you're not using like an unkillable team. So, and then with him being pretty tanky and helping that, I'll give him a 4. Yeah. Minnow, decreased attacks, very good. We'll go 5 there. Ice Golem, I think he's fine there. Spider, I can't really go 5 on Spider, but like I showed you, he's got some cool utility in helping you keep like Cold Hearts alive and stuff. So I think 4 is fair. Dragon, he's fine there. Force Keep, he doesn't decrease defense or anything, so we're gonna go 4. Magic Keep, he doesn't remove buffs or anything, which is gonna be crucial, but he's a solid support. He'd be like a 3.5. But I don't think he's going to be super amazing in like Magic and Spirit Keep. And then Void Keep, he's going to be fine. It'd be like a 4, 4.5 right there. So yeah, that is the grades. He's pretty solid all around. So now as we wrap up here, let's go ahead and pull up the infographic while we have a talk about Nekhret. Okay, so first of all, aesthetics, amazing. Love how his A1 looks. That really stood out to me. The glaives across the ground and how it doesn't have a melee animation that takes forever like a Lord Shazar, or it doesn't take forever like a Duchess. She sits there and like it just like I love how they did his animations and how he looks as a champion. So really good there. Base stats, pretty solid. I don't have any qualms with the base stats. I like how it synergizes around him having a really good base resistance while not needing accuracy, because the one thing he does that places a debuff is going to be having the can't be resisted function on it. So super cool how his base stats and his kit and everything aligns along with the aesthetics. Definitely really enjoy how he was designed as a champion. They did a great job, and in my opinion, this should have been the Holiday Fusion. Instead of Pixniel, you can go ahead and add her to shards and stuff. Well, I mean, in a different discussion, you should have lowered her books. But anyway, I think this guy should have been the Holiday Fusion. I think that would have been a lot of fun for the community to go after getting this guy. And then he's got some fun functionality, some different mechanics in terms of helping you keep a glass cannon damage dealer alive. Maybe try out some different teams, try some fun stuff out in the arena. I think it would have been fun to see him in the game because he seems really strong, but not like stupid, not like broken, ridiculous, uncounterable, crazy. So I think it would have been a lot of fun for the community to go after this guy in a fusion. I think that would have been the better route to go instead of Pixniel for the fusion event in the holidays of 2020. I don't know when you're watching this video, but Nekhret came out towards the end of 2020, and then they did a fusion event for Pixniel, the high elf legendary, and people weren't very high on the Pixniel fusion, but I think they would have had a lot of fun with the Nekhret the Great fusion here. So yeah, anyway, he's a cool champion. If you have him, definitely invest in him, and it's amazing that he only takes 6 books. Plarium has been trending over time to releasing champions that take more and more books. The average legendary used to take like 9 to 12 legendary books. You have some like No Rog, I think is like 7 or 8. And then recently they've been releasing champions that take 15, 16, and then Pixniel 18. So this guy being a new champion that only takes 6 legendary books is an amazing step in the right direction in terms of the booking process for champions. So I hope that trend continues. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Remember, I will have this infographic down below in a pinned comment, nice and easy to find. I would love to hear what you think down in the comments about Nekhret the Great. I think he's a cool champion. And if you have him, congratulations. I think you will have some fun using him. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.